Um, you know what else is light work?
What's that?
Carrying your team in Nightreign.
Bro, I have a sentence from Gene Park, friend of the show, who I played Nightreign with also 2 days ago, right after I played it with you and Reggie. And he really summed up everything about how I feel about the game in like a single sentence. This game sucks when you lose, and it's awesome when you win.
Yeah.
And that's
Sure.
kind of it.
Sure.
Like I've had like a couple of runs in which everything went great. I was like, oh man, this game's awesome. But as soon as it goes off the reins, the Nightreign, yeah. As soon as you're having like a not great run, like just every part of it just starts to become like hostile and miserable and awful.
I'm having a really weird time with single player for 2 reasons, right? And it could just be because
which single player?
So Expedition with one player mode on.
No, I mean the single player from fucking Sunday to Friday to Sunday, or single player from Monday to now.
Oh, I don't know what changed.
They completely overhauled the balance of the solo mode literally yesterday.
Well then definitely not yesterday. No.
Okay.
Prior
so pre-patch Woolie solo.
So for one, the feeling of the stress just accelerates so much higher when you're on your own, right?
Well, it's 2 forms of stress, right? There's the stress of coordinating with your team and your team being a bunch of shitheads and all that thing. That's gone. But like the performance stress is times 10. It's all on you now.
And I'm doing it even though I'm in my brain. I'm like, okay, I'm doing this to learn, right? I'm doing this to learn areas.
Yeah, that's why I also wanted to play solo. Right? I wanted to like figure out how the map worked.
Exactly. Like even if things change and don't change, you still familiarizing yourself with the pieces will, be helpful. And I found like I'm like, oh my god, it's just way trickier and harder to like get places in time, taking shots on bosses and not having. So I mean overall the thing that we've known about every Souls game is the ability to fight a boss whose attention is drawn elsewhere is crucial. It's humongous. And that's a difficulty.
It's the difference between a 10 out of 10 difficulty and a 5 out of 10 difficulty.
Maybe even less, maybe even 3. You know what I mean? If it just happens to never. And that as a major factor being like, oh, every boss fight has to become like do it the perfect solo run. It's like, oh shit, like imagine doing a deathless run in a Souls game. Like that's.
But you also get to find out,
you
also get to find out as a solo player just what it feels like to be the Dark Souls boss fighting multiple opponents at once. So when you load into a boss that's built for 3 people and it's like, okay, this is actually a triple boss fight the whole time.
Yeah.
And you have to split your attention 3 ways. You're like, I can see why I was able to stomp on bosses with co-op partners, because this is really fucking hard to keep track of.
And so what I kind of did was I kind of found myself being like, okay, let me map familiarize more than taking on these bosses directly, because I'm just like, oh, like there's no time for me to like solo beating a boss involves a lot of calm down, learn its pattern, dodge effectively, don't get greedy. But you don't have time in these contexts, and
if it's the end of the run boss, you have hopefully another shot in 40 minutes. Maybe.
Yeah,
so the pressure is up.
So there's that part of it that's like definitely a weird one, and it's going to take some getting used to. And yeah, it's the anti-lab. I find I like all the biggest, sickest moments for me in Elden Ring, God, whatever, in the base game originally were like having these like sermon sessions with the Millennia or Lord of the Frenzied Flame, or you know what I mean? All the it's like you and me, we're locked in here, Moog, and we're just gonna spend our time fucking doing it. And this game is directly leaning as hard as possible into the opposite direction, where it's like fucking no time, gank, run, go.
It's 1 a.m. on a Sunday night, and I don't have to get up early tomorrow. I'm gonna sit here until I beat you, Radon or Melania or Millennia or
Yeah.
whoever.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna do it, and I'm gonna move around my fucking bullshit and see if that helps, and I can look up a statistical variation. What are you weak to? Do I have rot shit in my inventory? Let's go. As opposed to, you're gonna do it now or you're not gonna do it,
and you're gonna do it with the reward you got last time, which is not the one you were hoping for, but oh fucking well, right? And so because of that little binding of Isaac sort of, like, I didn't get what I wanted. The boss didn't drop the thing. There's a little bit too of like, okay, well, fuck this run. Like, if I get there, I get there. But I've already given up on this run, and if I don't see 2 decent rewards in the early on,
So you're not guaranteed rewards of the element at the place that you go to, which seems insane. Like, I'm fighting Galadius. All right, I'm gonna go to the holy ruins to get a holy weapon. Not a single holy item in the entire place. Wow, I'm glad I spent like 6, 7, 8 minutes of this trying to get a fucking fuck.
And after we beat the first boss there, and then the elements get introduced, you drop back in, and it's like, hey, the bird is just gonna drop you on a lava pit, and and everything around you is not like starter enemy. Like, it's a bunch of perfumers that are actually like, they want you to be a little bit tougher before you fight them.
So there's 4 types of changing environment. I've only seen the lava pit. But all of them are for like day 2. They're all like super for real.
It's how Lord of the Rings should have ended, with the fucking hawks dropping the ring.
Yeah.
It's just, but you are the ring dropping into lava, and then you run out and then get perfumed in point blank, and like that was the first like 5 minutes of the game,
So me and Gene had like a batch of like incredibly shitty runs where we just fucked on it really bad, and we came to 2 conclusions that no matter how they fix this game up, I feel like I'm going to hold on to. One, if the whole fucking team dies at any point, the fucking run should just be over.
No redo.
Because once the whole fucking team dies, it feels impossible to fucking possibly get back to where you need to be.
I would disagree. I would say if the team wipes and you can't get your souls, if you can go pick them up
on a timer.
Yeah, if you can go get them, you can salvage it. If you can't go get them and those levels are all lost and you're fucked, then just rip.
The reason I say that is because there's no way to fucking leave the game in between the night bosses.
If you give up.
One of the things that like I find is like definitive about like the battle royale genre, which I've played a ton of them, is when I'm playing them battle royales and I get killed in the Fortnite, I'm like, oh, I'm not going to get my victory royale. Okay, I'm back queuing up within 90 seconds. I'm back in a new match in 90 seconds, and I'm dropping in 90 seconds.
You can vote to abandon. That is a feature.
You can?
Yeah, that's a thing.
How?
It's one of you. I think you press start and like go to like, if everyone agrees, then we all abandon it. I had that happen during the demo. Yeah. No? Is it? I saw that during the demo. I didn't see it during these, but
maybe it's not here.
I believe you. I saw that during the demo. I don't remember seeing it in the full release so far.
So the number one was like, there needs to be a way to like, it needs to be meaner. We also think that like it should be the range should be slower.
Am I lying? Hold on. What?
You might be.
Hold on.
You might have invented that in your mind.
No, because someone mentioned it, and I was like, oh yeah, there was a game that I saw something pop up during that demo run. Let me just confirm, because maybe I'm misremembering.
Because I think you can just quit to title, and that counts as like rage quitting.
Apologies if for spreading misinformation. There should be a way to abandon runs if all players should agree. No. Okay. You quit. So is it that when one person quits and then is there a message that pops up after one person leaves forever? or
I
something?
think so. And it does alter some of the
Okay,
statistics.
you know what? I apologize. I don't remember. I do remember seeing some message of some kind when somebody left. And it is not what I just described. So sorry about
Mhm.
that.
Um, the other thing was that me and Gene are very much of the thought process is that the matches, so the matches should be longer overall with the ability to just fail out, because that cavern, that gigantic like zone, that's this massive cavern, is this enormous wasted pile of real estate, because the only goal is to get to the absolute bottom
Mhm.
and fight the boss at the tippity tip bottom and get the reward from there. So you have this massive bespoke area that has all these mini bosses rolling around and churches and like a mini boss you have to fight to get through a fog door, etc. And you are just sprinting your ass off the whole way down the whole
Mhm.
time,
Mhm.
because going down there is like best on like the second half of day 2.
So
So you have 15 minutes to do it, and you got to go.
So I suspect that like some of this like getting dropped into fucking insane environment bullshit and the spiking in difficulty is also based on the idea that you're supposed to get better relic rights. And I think that like the relic rights are supposed to drastically affect your build and not be like
I've seen
passive.
some relic rights that would drastically affect my build.
Yeah, yeah. You know, again, getting sacred dropping in with sacred right off the bat is nice. You know, a lot of the basic ones are like throwing items get better, which is like whatever. But anything that like
I
adds a
got
decent stat sounds
so
massive.
the remembrance ones give you new character abilities.
Hmm.
So I got one for Wilder where his ultimate leaves a flame puddle on the ground, which does a bunch of damage.
Okay.
And I got one for Wilder that when you hook in with the hook shot, you get a unique flame series of attacks, and then your sword stays on
Oh,
fire, but only for greatsword.
nice,
And like
interesting. Okay.
getting those two made
Yes.
Wilder way stronger.
Okay, so there you go. Yeah, that feels like, you know, so you're dropping in and immediately you can actually be a contender, you know.
Yeah.
Um
Um
and then a
the
second.
game's remembrances are so broken.
Okay, got to go look further.
Okay,
Um
so here's how it works. You ready? When you load up a remembrance, it gives you like a little quest. So the Wilder's first remembrance, which is the one most people are going to do, is go to the mine in the southeast of the environment and get like a slate whetstone off the wall.
okay.
Right.
Yeah, I loaded up one for the summon girl, but I didn't actually go
Right.
into
So
do the
that
run.
for him, that's what it is. And then as a result of him having that quest active, it causes a mini boss to show up in that spot that wouldn't there
Yeah.
be there
Yeah.
otherwise, right? The reality of that is that only one person can ever have a remembrance active at one time,
Mhm.
which means that if you have a remembrance active, which everyone does because it's the best way to complete quests,
Mhm.
your matchmaking pool is cut by like 90%.
And once you complete the remembrance, it says the quest is over as well, right?
Yeah.
So I saw I you unlock the summon lady. I forgot her name.
Revenant.
Yeah, and for her it was beat the Cerberus or go to this and beat a knight captain. And it's like, okay, if you can get the team to join you in helping you go beat the knight captain, then fucking good luck. But most people are trying to go beat the Cerberus, so at least that first one was like,
Right.
hey, our goal is in common, you know? But the ones where it's like, yeah, everybody come help me do my specific thing, like...
But also, you guys have to turn your quests off.
Yeah, that seems counterintuitive.
Insane. Completely nuts. There are tons of things in this game that are like really structurally messed up. I don't know what the fuck they were thinking that like, so they rebalanced solo on Monday. They rebalanced solo by the following things. You gain 50% more runes as a solo player overall.
Okay.
Just straight up 50% increase, which makes it so that it evens out because you don't have three people killing things. You have one person. They increased the rarity of items you get on the third day from the merchant or from drops.
Okay.
And they made it so that you have one free life a day during the night boss. Just a freebie.
Okay.
Just a built-in resurrect. And they also have it in solo, and so you got one of these items, the gold item that resurrects you once if you die.
Yes. Yeah.
In solo, you can just buy those off of merchants.
Oh, for money.
So,
Interesting. Okay.
and they cost 10K, so it's relatively cheap.
Okay.
So I
go
fought a Gladius last night. Yeah, last night, and just to fuck around with it, and I rolled into Gladius with 4 lives. Like the freebie for the third day and 2
of those
the
items
lives.
Okay.
And I beat him.
So, okay, solo is asking you to go buy those chances.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes a bit more sense then.
And the other thing is that I discovered that Gladius, and I'm sure we'll figure this out over time, when he's not running around with a billion health, fighting everyone in every direction, actually has like a really simple move set by Dark Souls boss standards.
Gladius was which character again?
Is the 3-headed dog.
Okay.
It's the first Night Lord.
Yes, yeah, the Night Lord, yeah. Right.
Actually has a really like simple move set. So one of the things that I noticed is that because his big jumps and big sword attacks always like leave him really far away, he always rushes you and always does like the same bite attack. So the way that I beat him is that I just like rolled on every single one of those. It was super easy. And then stabbed him and then did like a jumping attack. And then when he split into 3, I would just run. I would just run to the absolute edge of the arena until he reformed.
Yeah, you know what? I'm not surprised to hear that because as we were saying, like Consort Radon is on the basis of, again, you are getting married to this boss. You know, you are locking in.
Consort Radon is as far as they could ever push it, ever.
And I think when you're doing the whole time limit, fuck you, chance limit, etc., arcade mode thing, a simple boss is probably going to be...
Yeah, because you could be walking in there with like a massive numerical disadvantage.
In fact, it feels like Margit is actually an outlier in how many moves he has and how complex he behaves compared to the rest.
Yeah, Margit seems like the hardest thing in the game.
Yeah, that like every other boss is kind of like on a fairly limited.
So far.
Yeah, no, agreed. Because he plays like one of those real super hard lock-in bosses from the original game. Most of what you're running into in terms of fucking, bell-bearing knights and foreskin knight warriors and all that shit is like, yeah, okay, we know it's the kit. It's the 4 or 5 main moves. So the other part of this that I found quite strange, and it's by nature of the game being a like spin-off kind of title, by nature of it being so rushed in its like gameplay design and panicky, I find myself less engaged with the lore, at the very least, as far as Souls goes.
Dude,
I'm not taking it anywhere near as seriously as I've taken every other game. Reading the description, going over and thinking about the connections. I'm just going like, yeah, button, next, hit.
No, I'll leave that to Vati to put out a video in like 2 weeks, and then we'll watch it, and we'll be like, oh, that was Nightreign.
Yeah, you have a little thing you read that says, hey, here's what the characters are up to. Do their remembrance to find out more about their origins, and you seem to get more pages as it goes. Talking to them, they say some little tips here and there, but I'm completely like, I'm treating, the way you treat Souls game after you've done it all in your new game plussing and you're just, running around engaging with the mechanics. Like you were already there on launch for this, one
of the other things that they patched yesterday of massive note is that they made it so that jumping and mantling on the climbable surfaces is
now.
1 million times more reliable.
Yeah, I gotta go see that. There's a bunch of dumb jumps.
Terrible.
Mashing jump and then seeing you fall over and over again sucked.
It's way more reliable now. And it really feels like the patch that came out yesterday was like the day 1 patch, but 5 days late.
what I was going to say, just back on the lore bit, is that there's the moment where you go to and talk to the summoner lady. It's going to take me a minute to get the class names in, you know.
Who cares?
But that's my point. That is my point, right? I don't have their names locked in, and like I'm looking at her as the ghost, and you go talk to the ghost, and then you fight her and get it, and I'm like, you know, if this was the proper LP, we would have been like, oh, she's staring at a painting of Radon. What does that mean? You know,
Yeah,
like
what's up with that shit?
that, like you would actually stop to go, oh yeah, she's actually hanging out in this room. What are the implications of that? And you know, and now we're like, well, you know, whatever. Yeah, it's interesting that like things that usually would matter currently don't, because the nature of the game is shut the fuck up, put in quarter, go now.
Go, 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 go.
And you know, maybe I'm sure there's gonna be cool shit when, you know, the poster like boss shows up eventually, or you know, the Night Lord of the whatever.
I've seen the Night Lord. I've seen the Night Lord face transition. It's fucking cool.
Yeah,
as shit.
yeah. No, and like you're gonna
It's cool as fuck.
you're gonna see it, and you're gonna care after you see how cool it is, for sure. Like Artorias, you know. But in the meantime, I'm just surprised. This is the first time I've booted any of these games up and just been like, yeah, whatever. Get mechanics, you know.
So one of the things that's like of note is that like unlike your average Souls game, people have freaked on this game harder than they've ever freaked on a From Software game before.
Mm-hmm.
There were people by the end of the weekend being like, I beat everything and I did all the remembrances. What the fuck? Where's the rest of the game?
Jesus.
And
okay. Yeah.
And
yeah.
And so like normally I'd be like, go outside. Like genuinely, normally I would be like,
but
go outside. With one change is that this is supposed to be like a multiplayer game that you play over and over. It's weird that there is such a definitive end to the game's campaign, which is, did you beat the Night Lord? All right, you're done. Which is why it's good that today they announced that they are going to have new Kings of the Night versions of those bosses coming next month.
Great. I mean, look, it's also a genre and company that have conditioned the most anti-grass touching, you know, into its player base. So
you'd have more stamina if you went out and touched some grass, guys.
Yeah, I can't look at, you know, oh, you mean eat it like as an item? I remember those.
Yeah, okay.
No, I'm not gonna say that like if someone sits down and just fucking bleeds out their eyes to get there within one weekend, that, you know, that's not FromSoft's fault for anyone going that hard on the game. But the in the meantime, though, you know, I do hope that the end experience does kind of build into this weird Isaac style thing of, yeah, if you beat the game and you go back in, you're gonna have enough random variation with some friends that it can still be fun, you know.
I would say, by the way, I played a couple of runs solo yesterday, and the changes they made to solo have been a fairly dramatic improvement in that experience.
Okay.
Like it is now a game you could be like, I have no desire to play it multiplayer, I'll just play it solo, and I would go, yeah, you can do that.
Well, they bought it in duos now. It's been in less than 24 hours.
So duos is coming for realsies in a month.
Yeah. I am curious if the end game is is basically people reducing RNG with relic rights and other.
Oh, it is.
Okay, so you really have less variance in your character.
The single best relic in the entire game is start with a stone sword key, increased rune acquisition, and decreased cost of items in the store.
Okay.
So you get more runes, and buying things costs less runes, and you start with a stone sword key that you can use to get a shit ton of runes right away. So basically the best item is get tons of money to spend it to just get what you want.
Okay.
From the store.
Because I was looking at the inventory, you know, when you're in the round table hold, and I was like, are you going to be able to like get a weapon before you even leave on the expedition? You know, like would they, is that going to be a part of the, and it's like not in the shops we've seen, you know, and then how far do the relic rights go? Do they replace your entire, like, starting armor, or
Well,
you know what I mean?
I think it was Vati, or maybe it was Iron Pineapple. I forget who it was, but you can get multiple of those rights. That is, start with a weapon that does ice or start with a weapon that does poison.
Hmm.
And I believe what he had was he was playing, I forget who it was, but it was the Executor can start with his katana that does bleed,
Hmm.
that also does poison, that also does
No,
frost.
no, 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 no. I had
And then you just run to upgrade that with smithing stones.
two relics that conflict with each other don't stack on your weapon. If the weapon itself has a base thing, that applies with the extra. But I put on a relic that had sacred, and I put on a relic that had fire, and there was an exclamation mark next to it, and
Really?
it said no. Yeah. So
Huh.
it specifically highlighted the sacred one to say this one is on and the fire one is off, you know? So
Interesting.
that sucks, because I would love to stack that shit. Like, you in base game, you can definitely do that, you know? And or if you want it, and like, I don't know if you can choose which one either, because if you want the other skill, it seems like you're kind of stuck with whichever one is in first priority slot, which sucks. But yeah, that I'm curious if like the end game relics are like massive build changes from the moment you drop in that regard, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, like, brainless fun. Poke around it, poke it with a stick, you know, the game.
Oh, one other thing you should know: they changed the way boluses work. So you know
Oh
those
yeah,
useless
staunching
things that are
boluses
like,
and whatnot. Yeah,
yeah, it's like I pop it to.
I've started eating them right away because whatever.
Yeah, so
free the
those
slot.
give permanent buffs now.
Permanent.
They give permanent resistance to the thing associated
Okay.
with them.
Just eat it immediately. Yep,
Yeah.
that's correct.
I'll tell you what, though, I fought the absolute shittiest boss I've seen in Nightreign yet solo last night.
Scarlet
and I'm
Rot.
like, I don't know what the fuck they were thinking. It was Wormface.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And Wormface has a permanent Deathblight aura on them
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that you have to constantly manage. And in order to deal with that permanent Deathblight aura,
Mm-hmm.
it spawns in ads constantly the entire fight that all drop
Sucks.
the death bolus.
Yep. Fought that during the demo. Sucked.
That is like
Absolutely
maybe one
sucked.
of the worst design boss encounters I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah. I did 2 runs trying that, and every time I see it now, I'm like, fuck that
I
thing.
killed all the ads and I picked up the bolus. I'm like, all right, I'm ready to go. I bet I can do it. And then like the ads all showed back up because they need to have a way to drop the bolus. Nonsense.
It's super weird fighting bosses in the field that are meant for torrent on foot.
Yeah,
you know, it's, you can like
there's mobility issues.
There's mobility issues, absolutely. And in the demo, I think, is where we discovered that like the intended game loop, or the intended way you're supposed to move, is sprint through the map, but when you're in combat, use your circle button sprint. Right?
No, because the real sprint's like 3 times as fast as your circle button sprint. So even with the stamina loss, the only way I'm getting there in time is with the sprint.
Well, what I was about to say is, when Mar gets tossing fucking kunai at you like 10-10, your regular sprint it doesn't feel like it's cutting it, you know? You can try the timed rolls and such, but like just hoofing it ninja style to the left or right is more effective, but your fucking stamina management is dog shit at that point, you know? But switching between the 2 sprints for optimal stamina management, I guess, is like, I don't know. I think it's intended. There's also, it's also like the legacy way the sprinting worked in those games. You know, so I can see why they wouldn't necessarily completely get rid of one or the other. But you're so much slower doing a saunter jog versus you know.
It's also more awkward because you have to hold the circle button.
Yeah, and if you're playing with somebody who downs the opponent and they're too busy to get the counter hit in, you gotta fucking, you know, dash in as quickly as possible. So yeah, anyway, I'm sure optimally that'll look a little bit different, but it works.
I think the game's going to look like really different from month to month.
Just to see how people are playing it.
I think the fact that we got like a balance, like genuine like balance changing patch within like 5 days, and they're going to add a new mode and like harder difficulties in like a month. I feel like when this game is maybe done in like 2 years, it will be a significantly better game but I think that it has like really, really core structural problems. And the biggest one is that I kind of like vibing in From Software's environments more than I like running point to point to fight shit.
I don't disagree. I know what you mean. Yeah, sitting and looking at that distance and then making a decision.
I like inhabiting a different planet that's violent and hostile and weird more than that fighting, the big boss, which is crazy because I love fighting those big bosses.
But ironically, you say that, but like, and I think the game design here is taking into account how the most hardcore people have been streaming the game as
absolutely
Twitch challenge
they
runs.
as much.
Yeah, so it's like, yeah, we're aiming this at the meme runners essentially, more than anything. And
I wish they had actually just put like the randomization at like the speedrun mode or like the randomization as like a mode in base Elden Ring. Like that would have been of much greater value to me.
That could have been interesting, certainly, after you've learned it all. I feel, I mean, who knows what the future will hold, but I wish that there was more clean synergies between classes. It would be super sick if there's double techs,
Yeah.
I would love it if what you described about the Wilder and the fire hook, if you could
there
like
kind of is, but they're soft double techs. Like certain people's moves just work better together. Right?
Okay.
Like restage works on any high damaging ult.
Yeah, any big ult, yes, for sure. Restage is great in combination. And more moments, but more moments of like intended synergy would be really cool. It's a little something that like even in the most passive way in Marvel Rivals, it's like, oh, that's cool. Okay, we get some good synergy together. Let's grab these two and gamma energy on Iron Man or fastball special or whatever. Jump on Groot's shoulders. I think little things like that would have been fun to see.
I think that the game's overall design is kind of a mess and the game has huge problems, but I want everyone at From Software to look at the roster in this game and realize it's really cool to pick classes in a game that they make that feel different, that really actually feel different. That is by far the best part of the game, is playing as Guardian and having a big heavy shield and a terrible dodge, or playing as Duchess with a double dodge, or playing as Recluse with a super long weird dodge, or people who have different move sets or different abilities.
The Raider's axe is such a unique axe compared to regular generic axes. The double claws that you do as summoner are
great,
very different, very unique moveset comboing around. Like, the uniqueness
having
between the classes
of
is
different
wonderful.
Sizes and how that affects your hitbox.
Like the Wilder.
Do you know the Guardian has a charged guard counter?
Oh, I think I did.
So if you hold R2, he does a really, really big guard counter, but with halberds only.
Interesting. Cool.
And I think about like, man, I just backport these fucking characters into fucking base Elden Ring.
Awesome uniqueness going on. 100%.
Someone probably working on that right now, actually.
I mean, modding at the very minimum.
Well, because I think about like, remember when you picked a class in Elden Ring, you're like, do you play as the Confessor or the Prisoner or whatever? Like, if they just fucking played like this cast, that would be fucking awesome.
Do you then get to modify them back into whatever as you go? Yeah,
whatever. Respec it. I don't care. It's a cool set of abilities.
Have them feel super different from the jump. I agree. No, look, we love character select screens, and especially ones where you have abilities that change and matter. 100%. That's way more fun than a couple versions of dress up for the main, naked look you get. Also, starting you out like too powered in those games is also what they don't do. You have to kind of suck with whatever, so you got a shitty knife or a shitty sword or a shitty spell, is also the
broken
thing.
handle or whatever the fuck.
So you being weak at the beginning is different from this game where you're supposed to start out kind of...
You're coming in as like...
Your damage is low,
NPC
but your kit is finished.
characters.
Yeah, that's the intention.
So this is made by a separate team. This is made by like new people, like young developers on the Elden Ring team, who I don't believe are working on Dustblood. And it's really interesting because I saw folks saying, "Oh, you think they're going to use the lessons they learn from Nightreign and apply them to Dustblood?" And no,
Those games are
absolutely
being
not.
simultaneously
They're never
developed.
going to even talk to each other across the office.
I mean, we'll see if they have a completely different design philosophy for that one too.
Miyazaki said in an interview a while back, I'll never be able to find it, but like the reason why you always had to go back to the hub to level up instead of doing it at the bonfire is he didn't know that mattered to people until before Elden Ring. Like he just didn't know because feedback's for pussies, I guess. And I kind of respect that.
What we do know is whatever the game after this that they make, the multiplayer will have significant improvements because they're going to have 2 fucking test cases running live to figure it out. So that'll be interesting. It's also going to be interesting to see these games competing, They're
very different beasts, but at the end of the day, they're Elden Ring. So they're multiplayer From Software game.
At some point, it's going to be like, do you load up your Switch and go for the fucking Bloodborne and Nintendo at home, or do you do your Souls run because they just dropped another fucking Dark Souls character into it, Hey, look, it's Lost.
It's fascinating to me, and me and Gene were laughing ourselves silly because we couldn't stop talking about Marathon when we were playing Nightreign. And the reason why we couldn't stop talking about Marathon is that like Marathon had one of the biggest things, like, man, you got to put fucking solos and duo modes into this fucking game, dude. Like, holy shit, are you insane? 3 people only? And we're playing Nightreign, and like From Software has the mandate of heaven. Like From Software couldn't be more blessed by instant success no matter what its flaws. And you look at the Steam reviews and you look at the way people are talking about it, and it's like, give me a fucking duos mode, you fucking psychos. Holy shit.
Goodwill. And not lifting your entire texture pack from
but like even,
from a website.
Even with this game that is just like sold almost 4 million copies right now, it can't escape from like, no, put a fucking duos mode in. Make it playable solo. God damn it. It took Apex years to do that.
I saw a tweet. I saw a skeet that from Lumen, Screwy on Beast Guy said, just realized there's going to be a game or series of games shown off at the State of Play that's
tomorrow
are going to be far longer than intended because the runtime originally belonged to Marathon before advertising got yanked.
Bro.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Ooh, we got to fill for time. Hey, you got any more like pre-rendered footage going on? Anything else?
11-minute demo of some indie game you've never heard of that doesn't look that good, but hey, it's not Marathon. We're not getting sued.
Can you double that vertical slice length? What are we doing?
Yeah. Oh my God.
We'll see what happens.